This is our call to order. We'll move to the consent agenda.
Item 2.1, I move that we approve the minutes from January 22nd of this fine year. Second that one?
The year of our Lord.
In the year of our Lord 2026, yes.
I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving into the regular agenda. For anybody that is here for item 3.1, which is flagship home request for review of transitional holding zoning at the Kirkham Estates, that item has been withdrawn from this meeting. It will likely come forward at another time.
I don't think it will be coming forward.
It maybe never will come forward,
Yeah.
but
Maybe at some point, but not anytime soon.
but it has been withdrawn from this meeting. Yes, sir. Please come.
Point of question, what happens to the TH5 temporary designation?
Kim, would you please address that question?
So as far as this application, they have withdrawn. I believe it fell out of contract as far as, so this won't carry forward. I'm thinking maybe your question is, what does the transitional holding zone mean? And it's a large 5-acre agricultural. It does allow housing on 5-acre lots. It's really to be able to get a property into the city, but remain pretty much with what the rights were in the county. So it's just a holding zone. And then had they moved forward, they would have to come back later and rezone it for some kind of development. So.
That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll continue on with the regular agenda. Jacob.
Okay. Item 3.2 is public hearing and recommendation of Adam Albrecht's request for review of the Parker zone change on 2.4 acres located at 300 North Palomino Way, changing the zoning from A1 to R122. And this zone change is consistent with the general plan designation of VLDRA for the area. And I know the applicant's plan is to come back with a future single-family subdivision in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none. This is a the applicant. Are you present? Not present. Ooh, tisk. All right.
Carry on.
Did anybody have any specific questions they wanted the applicant to address? No, seeing none. This is a public hearing. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Invite anyone to the microphone that would like to speak to item 3.2. Mad rush has ended. We will close the public hearing and turn it over for a motion or deliberation.
There was an online comment for this one.
Sorry, let's reopen that public hearing and enter the online comment. Would you mind reading it?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Okay, so this comment comes from, let's see, CLG Properties, Sean and Jennifer Lewis. In regards to the zone change for this piece of property, we have no objections. I would like to bring forward an observation regarding 300 North. Currently, there are 6 homes on septic systems and 5 on wells. My understanding is that all the sewer mains in this area go 3 different directions. The first being east towards 900 North or 900 West, which is currently sloped out and cannot be extended. The second direction is towards Main Street, which serves the Newman direction or development down Palomino Way. And the third direction is west towards Main Street, 1500 West, which serves the 2 Gurney developments. And some of that line actually runs north before turning west towards 1500 North and tying into that main. I realize when these developments are happening that a lot of the infrastructure is provided by the developers regarding their property. At the current moment, sewer options for this 5+ acres are becoming a concern for development in the future. If there are not options, it may be the case for the property to the west. I'm simply reaching out to have the Planning and Zoning Commission aware of the infrastructure on 300 North to make you aware that in the future, if these properties on the north decide to develop, that there are options for affordable sewer and stubs to get sewer down 300 North. I'm simply asking that when these developments arise, that you take that into consideration, or the situation on 300 North into consideration, And if there are options for sewer stubs into 300 North, that they are not overlooked, maybe this is an area the city engineer's experience is needed. So that is the comment.
Thank you. That being read, we will close the public hearing. Gary, did you want to address any of that?
In this area, there's basically two ways that sewer can flow out of here. Yeah, so if you look on the map there, so there is a sewer line that dead ends about in front of the property there. It's an 8-inch sewer line. I think it's pretty deep. I can't see what the depth is of the sewer right there on 3rd East, but on 11th West, they're like 10, 11 feet deep. So an 8-inch sewer line can handle hundreds of homes on it, with depending on the grade and the slope and things like that. So I think there's plenty of capacity there on the 3rd East sewer line, and would be able to be reached if you have a basements and everything can flow out there too. There's also another line that flows south on Palomino Way there, which is just to the west of the property there. It's a 10-inch line. It's a little bit shallower. It's about 6 feet deep there, so they may or may not be able to reach it. The homes along Palomino Way can get to it there, but they may not be able to, depending upon the grades and everything of homes on 300 North. But it can flow along 300 North. There's plenty of capacity there.
Forgive my ignorance with sewer infrastructure. Is this a development that once built out, they could tap into either? Would you be seeing the development go only one direction or either?
You know, they could probably tap into either one. The one on Palomino Way is a 10-inch line, has a lot more capacity, of course, than an 8-inch line. If they can reach it and that's cheaper for them to reach that one, then they could go to that one. If they need to be deeper and they don't need to build up their development, then they could probably go out to 3rd North. And I would assume the same thing for people along 3rd North too there and other developments. Could reach that.
I just kind of wanted to sum up what my understanding of this would be. Kim, Gary, Peter, Jacob, I won't exclude you. You're welcome to chime in as well. Didn't mean to treat you like junior or something here. You're a very seasoned professional, sir. But I mean, the comment is, of course, spot on, but these are things that would happen with development. The developer would pay for and attend to this. I'm understanding this is an island, and the zone change is calling for exactly what we have on the general plan, right? So in my mind, this is just,
Sure.
We could discuss this, but it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't really have much to do with the zone change.
Then if everyone's content, I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. For item 3.2, public hearing recommendation of Adam Albrecht's request, the Parker zone change, 2.4 acres at 300 North Palomino Way, changing the zoning from A1 agriculture to R1 22 residential agriculture. I move that we approve the zone change with the findings that it is consistent with the general plan, that it is development concerns would be met by developers per the city's usual functions, and it eliminates an island that currently exists in the way things sit right now, out of line with the general plan, and of course include DRC comments.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
Sorry that we
please
recommend for approval.
Is this we recommend? Yes. My apologies. Just so excited with how spot on this one is.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Yes, recommendation.
Second stands.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moves forward to City Council. 3.3.
Okay. Yeah, and you still would like to hear 3.3 and 3.4 together? Okay.
Well, I would, but I'm open if you guys don't want that. But yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay, so item 3.3 is public hearing and recommendation of Grow Development's request for review of the 1450 West, 1220 North zone change on 5.25 acres located at that address, 1450 West, 1220 North, changing from A1 to R122. And then item 3.4 is the same address, an 8-lot residential concept plan with no exceptions requested. So for the zone change, Like the last item, this matches the general plan designation of very low density residential agriculture for this space. And then on the concept plan, so it's the 8 lots that all meet the 22,000 square foot requirement. I know the applicant was just looking for some feedback on the layout, but like I said, no exceptions are requested. So you're actually the final approval body for the concept, but for the zone change, it will be recommended to the city council. With that, I'll turn it over to the planning commission for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present?
Yes.
If you would like to, you may address or give us more information.
Hi, Boyd Brown, with Grow Development. I don't really have any comments. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we've worked well with the staff. I think we have pretty good understanding of what they need, their requirements, and we're looking forward to moving forward after we get the zone change on this. So,
They mentioned you were looking for feedback.
yeah, there were some challenges on the layout with the spacing of the road. We're trying to maintain the existing home on the property, but we've looked at a couple different options. But yeah, any feedback you might have, we're open to.
Any comments or questions for the applicant?
Are there any trails through this area? I don't know. I was trying to look on the maps and I didn't see any, and it doesn't look like there's. But are there any plans for
There's
that?
not, no.
Unless Jake
No?
was
No,
aware of it,
not in
we
this
haven't
area.
seen anything.
Would you like to put one in? You can start something great.
That's right.
Would you like to maybe some smaller density? And we did look at some trails, but no, this is kind of rural. It's the very low density. I mean, these are big lots, so we're happy to have larger lots and not trails, or the other way around. So
Yeah. I have nothing for you. This is not a complicated one.
This is a public hearing. If anybody from the public is here to speak specifically to item 3.3, which is the zone change, please come forward and speak.
I'm Danny Gutierrez. I built a subdivision with Mike Du Bois just on the other side of 1220. Our only question, we're not opposed. Mike owns a property to the north here. I own some property still in the subdivision and west of here. You'll probably see me coming through here shortly, but my only concern that I have, and Kim probably remembers this, when we built Titans Drive there, we were asked or required to widen that road past the standard width because what we understood was our road was going to come through and connect to the property north of this. And so my only question is, does it make any sense to kind of keep that connectivity where that road, Titans Drive, comes across and then ties into the road right above it? Mike's not opposed to it, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, do we want to kind of have a conversation about how that road should look? We get a little concerned with the Kaler's property that Mike has some rights to potentially purchase that might interfere with layout on this 3 acres that's still going to remain there, that's going to kind of be locked a little bit. And so it's just a question of, do we work with Boyd and work with the city to make these roads work really, really well? I understand exactly what Boyd's doing. It makes sense for this particular property, but it does put the Kaler property kind of in a really weird spot. And, you may have a road where they're proposing it, and now you have another road just 2 houses down that, you're going to have 3 different entrances. Titans Drive's going to be in the middle. You'll have one cul-de-sac where the Kaler property is, and then, Boyd Street that's coming in. So, I think changing the zone is great, but that would be our only concern is just, you're going to potentially have 3 roads within, 250 feet or 300 feet, which is kind of scary to me.
Sure.
So just a thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bart Peacock. I live on 1533 West, 1220 North, just a little bit west of this proposed development. Have no problem with the zone change. It's nice to see some bigger lots. One of my concerns is on the north boundary or property line of this property, there's an irrigation ditch that comes under the tracks and follows all the property, the north property line. Clear down, and then it turns and goes south, down to my property. Zach Taylor lives straight across the road. He has a share, and then I have my water, and then I guess Danny has a share. My concern is on that ditch on the north, I've already piped the ditch running south. I took that upon myself and did that because of the problems of trying to maintain the ditch. The ditch that runs east and west on the north side of this property is kind of a delicate ditch. It don't hold water real well. It grows in and we have to burn it. How close can they build, Kim? 5 feet, correct?
For detached, like an accessory structure is 5 feet. The main home has a bigger setback.
Right, but a detached building can be within 5 feet of the property line. With that said, there's no way to burn and maintain that ditch. I've already fought this and didn't get nowhere. I got a detached, there's a neighbor that's got a detached garage that's 18 inches away from my property line. Another one is 5 feet. They'd all been at 18 inches if we wouldn't have changed. But that's all I could get was 5 feet. Correct, Kim? But there's no way to burn and maintain a ditch. That's my concern with that ditch on the north. If we don't do something with it, I can't be responsible when the water comes down there of flooding somebody because I can't take care of my ditch. I just think it's something that needs to be looked at. It probably needs to be piped. It's a big concern. Last year we fought with building debris blowing in it from the north, from that development, blowing down, clogging the ditch. It's something that's got to be addressed, in my opinion. Now, Jim Cortese, that's selling his property, has been real good to help me, but we're the only ones that ever do anything with it. With him leaving, I'm going to get stuck by myself, and it's a big project. But I don't feel like I should be responsible and worrying about that all the time, that my water's going to flood somebody. The way it is right now, we don't have trouble. Jim can take some of the water, we can divert it, we can do things with it, but with the development there, it's not good. My other concern is, in front of my property, 1220 is still just, you have 17 and 18 foot of asphalt is all you have. It's a very narrow road. With this construction that's gone on in Pioneer Heights, it's not safe. If they're gonna do a development, they need to think of closing the road to just local traffic and get the construction trucks, cement trucks coming in up through the subdivision where the roads are wider instead of having them on 1220. The other point that I'd like to know is, it said in the DRC comments that they would be bringing the sewer to 1200 West if they don't contain it on their development. Is that true? Is that how it's going to be?
Please address your comments to us. We'll get to them in the end. So this is a hearing. You're supposed to speak, and then we can address them when you're finished.
Okay.
Thank you. State your name, please.
James Cortese.
Thank you.
I want to say that the irrigation water, sorry,
We should add that.
we've been there 21 years, and the irrigation water that comes down that ditch Bart's talking about does flood my property out. I'm just saying that it will be an issue if it's not addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can just speak to that since I'm the one that put in a lot of the storm drain over in this area.
Your name one more time.
Oh,
for the
Danny
record.
Gutierrez.
Thank you.
So right in front of Jim's house, we did put a big, I think it was a 16-inch irrigation box, or, well, probably a 4-foot irrigation box with a 16-inch line that drains down through Pioneer Heights. I will say we'll need irrigation water still on our property west of Bart, but I think piping is probably the easiest route to go, making sure we have some good, irrigation boxes that we can divert water properly. But I know that there are a couple of exit points there if it ever floods that we can catch that water and bring it down through the subdivision. So
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak to this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. There were no
Not on
comments
this
on
item.
this one. All right, a couple of things there. Width of Titan Drive and the alignment of the roads. Gary, do you have any input there?
Where they put their road is all dependent upon our standards of road widths and stuff. This is not a collector, an arterial, minor arterial.
Minor collectors.
Minor collector.
It's actually Luke's comment number 9.
So it will have quite a bit, a wide pavement. That was one of his questions there. I think 44 feet of pavement, so it's just a pretty wide road.
And that's 1220, correct? 1220 will be widened?
Yes, 1220. Yep, correct. So when the developments come in, they will be required to hold to that standard there. So the road will be quite a bit wider when it's improved. The roads, so if they meet our minimum road distances between intersections, then they can put that road kind of where they need to, the best fits for their development there. I appreciate his concerns there. We would require a stub out to the north from this property to connect onto the subdivision up north eventually when that middle piece gets developed in there. Yeah, if you can pull that up.
That would connect to Whisper Hollow.
Yeah, Whisper Hollow, yep. I believe that's the name of it. Yeah, Whisper Hollow, yes, Whisper Hollow. And as far as the sewer is concerned, the sewer is in 1220 north, and it will flow to the west till it gets to Titan Drive, and then it will flow down Titan Drive there. So it would not need to connect over there to 1700 west. But the storm drain, though, is a different issue, if that's what he's referring to. That probably will have to connect over to 1700 west, but we can work with the developer on that too and see what is best for them.
This isn't the first time that this area has brought up the infrastructure of ditches. Right, we've heard quite a few of them over the years. They are used. This is an agricultural area. Is this something that would be considered a project to pipe? And that would be a developer to pipe it, right? That wouldn't. Is that a city project?
It would be a city project. It would need, of course, the irrigation company's approval and all that too. And just from looking at it here, it appears that it's the ditch isn't on this piece of property. It's on the northern property there. So I don't know that this developer would be required to ditch it.
But sir, with the problem, I understand where it sits. But if you build a home an accessory building 5 feet off the property line, how am I gonna maintain that ditch? Because it is right on the property line.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you for reminding me. The maintenance that they typically are burning at this point, that is problematic with a 5-foot.
It probably will be,
Right.
yeah. I don't have an answer to that. Another, maybe working with the irrigation company, see if they have some resources or something. I don't know.
So irrigation company don't sit in on PRCs?
No. Not typically, no.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe ask them. I don't know.
Just a reminder of the Robert's Rules of Order. Please have your time to address. We will get to the comments that have been made. Let's not shout out anymore, please. Thank you. Kim, did you
maybe
want to address that?
to address that a little bit more, we do require applicants to contact. We provide the contact information so that they can get a hold of Lehi Irrigation, but they don't, because it's separate. It's not Lehi City. Lehi Irrigation is a private company, so we refer them to work with them, but they don't sit on the DRC. But there's definitely coordination that happens between the applicant and a lot of times with engineering and the irrigation company.
But in this case where the property does not have the irrigation ditch on it, they were likely not notified or brought to the attention of this?
Not yet, and we usually don't require any kind of coordination until we get to preliminary plat, and then definitely at final plat, because at this point, we're just, things may move around.
Sure.
But yeah, at preliminary would probably be the first time we'd recommend, hey, reach out to the irrigation company. But like Gary said, if the ditch isn't on this property as a city, our requirements can only require piping if it's on the property, so.
Understood.
Okay. So 30,000 foot view and brass tacks. First of all, this is concept. Nothing's happening tomorrow. Nonetheless, an improved concept does give some invested abilities here. So we want to be mindful of that. And I say this as much to the commission in question, clarify with staff, as well as to the room, so that we're all in full understanding. Obviously, the commission can only do what we're legally empowered to do. It's best when government does what they're empowered to do and not more. And that's where we get lawsuits. But this is a very real situation that we're describing here. Nonetheless, it's not on this property. This developer can't be asked to address it. So without, dodging the very real need of the citizens, what's the right play here? Let's not let the dotting of I's and crossing of T's, which needs to happen, negate, if we've got a real, issue for this corner of the city. So thoughts, staff, on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to step on engineering's toes, but I know
Sure.
on previous developments, we have done like berming on the piece that's being developed. We could have them put some kind of a berm so that the water is retained, you know what I mean? So that it helps prevent water from coming onto their property and flooding them out. But I don't know. I'm sure the irrigation company might have some other ideas on what could or couldn't be done with that ditch.
Yeah, to me, it
Gary?
sounds like the issue is more the burning and the structure's too close to the property line, and if it's 5 feet off the property line, I don't know how big the fires get, but I imagine pretty big. So it is a problem. I don't know, maybe just throwing it out there, maybe the developer could increase that depth a little bit, maybe to 10 feet or something, offset for, I don't know, just thinking about that.
Okay.
But I don't have an answer right off the top of my head other than that.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea that perhaps if we know there's some kind of a safety issue, that maybe there's a note on the plat that says accessory structures in this particular, because of the ditch and the maintenance needs, that instead of our typical minimum of 5 feet, they have to increase that to 10 or.
Is that within our power?
I guess.
Not in current code, right?
Sorry, Nate. Sorry.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, we could definitely look into it and see if that could be legally required, which, if we're trying to mitigate some kind of a risk or a danger, we may be able to, or at least recommend it, if nothing else, so.
But for clarity, if as far as this ditch being piped, that would be something that would be addressed on the development of that property, not this property. Understood. Any other questions for staff?
Well, so according to the concept plan, that on the western side, that's a road on the north end, right? So the road goes up north and then heads to the west. So it's really only affecting the one lot on the east of that road. Where if they were to build a chicken coop out there 5 feet from the ditch, and it looks like the ditch kind of tapers to the north a little bit at that point. I don't know, so I'm just thinking it really only affects the one lot as a concept. Would the irrigation company pipe the ditch? I could see them going, no, it's not our job. Okay.
You probably have to ask them. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
And I'm reiterating, this is in line with the general plan.
Right.
Okay.
And the first item is a zone change.
Yep, I know. Well, and so, where my wheels are going is, of course, a zone change. If it were not in line with the general plan, then I feel like that kicks it more muck, but it is in line with the general plan. I'm just thinking through how to respect everyone's rights here, development rights, recognizing that there are going to be some negative externalities that the neighbors potentially feel, but nonetheless, where that responsibility lies, this is where it gets fun, and I don't mean that in the way we usually use the adjective fun, right? Okay.
To be clear, I'm going to clarify. I'm going to open up the public hearing for 3.4 when we're done with 3.3, so you'll have another chance to come speak. I do see you. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. I will entertain a motion for 3.3.
Motion for 3.3, public hearing recommendation of Grow Development's request for review of the 1450 West, 1220 North zone change on 5.25 acres located at 1450 West, 1220 North, changing the zoning from A1 agriculture to R122 residential agriculture. The recommendation being that we approve the proposed zone change, with the findings being that the proposed amendment on the character of the surrounding area is consistent with the policies and goals of the general plan, and it is suitable for the uses requested, and it will overall be a benefit to the community, and please include all DRC comments.
Recommending approval?
Yes, I said, did I not say that? That's what I did,
but yes.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Having already heard and seen 3.4, were there any questions that you wanted to address to staff before we open the public hearing?
Do you want to pull the applicant up?
Applicant, would you like to come forward and address anything you've heard thus far?
I think that'd be useful. Then we'll get to public commentary.
Is it okay if I say one thing
Oh.
really quick?
Thanks, I'm happy to address it. I don't know that I have a quick solution.
One second.
Okay.
Jacob.
I think it'd be good just to clarify, this is a concept, this way back as a preliminary subdivision, as a public hearing at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think that was going to be one of my comments. There's a lot of work we still have to do on the design, engineering, and working with the neighbors, the staff, and engineering. This ditch is something we were aware of. The concern, I hadn't thought about the burning as a maintenance. So, I think we would want to find a solution to that also. We're generally not trying to build structures in the way of
Flames.
controlled fires.
Yeah.
But again, I'm happy to try to work to that. I don't know what the solution is tonight, but I was glad that some light was put on it. But again,
No
it
pun
is
intended.
concept, and yeah, we'll work to try to make the best layout we can on it.
Great. Legal, I have a question. Technically, 3.4 is not a public hearing, so I misspoke. I still would like to entertain his comment that he has in the back. Is that within our purview?
I believe that would be okay, where you've opened it up as the commission member, or as the commission chair. You've let him speak, and so that should be fine.
Thank you.
I do have a question for Ms.
Please.
Brown, if I can. One of the DRC comments asked about the outbuildings, if they were going to remain, or if they're I would assume that they're gonna go away, but
Yes,
to
the
clarify.
current plan is to demo the outbuildings, and we're going to keep the house. And if we stick with this layout, all those outbuildings would be in a new building lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Not for you.
Not yet. Okay, thank you. All right, with legal's grace, I was able to allow you to come up and speak again. So you are welcome. Anyone is welcome as well, not just you. But anybody is welcome to come and address this concept.
Yeah, Bart Peacock again. Sorry I get upset. It's just that we've been through this and been through it and been through it, and I'm kind of don't know how much more energy and money I got to try to fix ditches when I didn't create them. I didn't create it. I'm in the process of piping some more ditch on the east side of my property because of how close the homes are. There's a swimming pool right there. They claim they're getting water in there. Don't know how, but they are. It's 5 feet off my property line. But one of the other comments, I've got to have some way to access the head gate that's right at the railroad tracks on that ditch. It's worked out fine over the years because Jim has gone up and get it. He can go through his pasture, get it. But when this is all closed, a fence gets put in, I don't know how I'm gonna get to that head gate. So there's another concern. The ditch is a problem. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to address this item? Seeing none, we'll close that opportunity for speaking that wasn't permitted anyway, but we'll do it. I do have a question about that. Is there any protections that come with irrigation valves and where they turn on ditches or where they do that? Are there any? I mean, I assume that access has to be granted, or how does that, or grandfathered in? How does that work?
You know, that's a good question. It's never really come up before. Just looking at the site plan, it might be possible for him to walk up the road and onto the new property and across the ditch there. But he'd have to be trespassing on the other property.
Does he get an easement?
Yeah. I don't know if there is an easement across there. I imagine there is for the irrigation company. So there should be. Or at least prescriptive anyway, yeah. So that would be a great question I could probably bring up with the irrigation company, yeah.
Lots of great comments
Yeah,
tonight.
this hasn't come up before.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 3.4.
Spit it out.
Oh, I don't have the coherent.
It's a little sticky.
It is.
This one?
I mean, one thing I do just want to. I mean, we don't typically necessarily address an individual citizen, but I do want to say I feel for Mr. Peacock. I understand what he's saying here. He's working with the infrastructure that's been put upon him, and I want to make sure we're not. Want to make sure we're attending to that. And the guy's got to have access to the head gate, and at the same time, the applicant, it's not on his property, which we can't require people to do things on property that isn't theirs. That's not even legal. So I just, this is really, I'll say again, a fun one, but I mean, I don't want to just throw my arms up at it. I'd like to see a meaningful answer in this. Pull with your blessing, could pull the applicant back up again one more time. Mr. Boyd, right? I know it's just concept plan. I would just love to hear from you. You've taken in all these comments. You're aware of the situation here. You obviously are not expected to do things that don't fit on your property. As this moves forward, we'll be working to find some solutions here with the neighbors.
Yeah, and I think that's all I could commit to now.
Of course. Again,
I can't make
you
a
have
commitment
rights here as well.
If it's someone
Yep.
else's property to
Yep.
do. As far as the access, I could look into that too, but again, that is, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure as a property owner it is my job to solve an
not.
access issue that doesn't exist.
I realize that.
And I think we can come up with a solution. My guess is that pipe will be ditched.
Yep.
In the
Ditch will be
future,
piped.
in combination of either what I'm doing or what Mr. Gutierrez and Du Bois are doing next to me. I mean, the layout we have, like Ken pointed out, it has a public right-of-way there, so that ditch would be in a public right-of-way or in a utility, so it would be easy to pipe that way. But on the other side, I'm not sure. It seems like we would want to have it piped if we're building some new houses in there.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's too early for me to commit to anything, one particularly where it's not on my property.
Completely
And two, we
agree.
haven't
That's not what I'm
gone
asking
through
you
the
to do.
engineering. And
Well, let me be clear on
most
that.
of the irrigation companies have pretty specific, there's either easements or there's not. And, we do, as Kim pointed out, we do have to work with the irrigation companies on all of our plats to the, as much as they impact our site plan. So something like building a swale or something like that makes sense. We would want to do it. We don't want it flooding on our property. And again, working as far as the maintenance of it with the fire and stuff is something that doesn't sound great for a new home either. So we're all, I think, aligned and coming to a solution. I don't know that I have a answer to how to solve it tonight.
And I wouldn't expect it.
Okay.
I also know it's early, but speak to the topography. Would you need to bring in fill for this plot or for these plots?
I don't think we have enough engineering to know. My guess is yes. It seems like a lot of the projects down here do have some fill, and I think that'll be dictated by the how we grade the roads and try to get the storm drain flow, and also where the depths of the sewer are. It seems like the sewer is pretty deep in here, but I don't know that I have an answer on what the final grade will be yet. And again, as Kim pointed out, this being conceptual, we'll dig in our preliminary plat and final plat, answer a lot of those things.
Do we know who the neighbors to your north are? The one whose property does have the ditch on it?
Yeah, that's the gentleman who's Mr. Du Bois, I believe. I've never met him.
Okay.
Mr. Gutierrez I am familiar with. So, I mean, it sounds like they have a concept in their hand right now. I mean, I think they're thinking about if they haven't made an application. So I think it would be easy to work with them in this situation where they have a similar idea of developing their property. But you're welcome to ask them that question. I can't speak to them to what they're going to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Any other question?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, just by point of discussion, again, I agree with what Commissioner Jackson said earlier in that I appreciate Mr. Peacock and others expressing their concerns. I see this as being more black and white, though, that because this is an administrative item and it does meet code, we do need to approve it. And then the auxiliary. Go
I
ahead.
agree with that. Let me be clear. It is administrative. Legally, we have to approve it. Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's it. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll put forward a motion. Item 3.4, public hearing and consideration of Grow Development's request for approval of the 1450 West, 1220 North concept and 8-lot residential development located at 1450 West, 1220 North. With this being an approval, not a recommendation of approval, but actual approval, with no modifications, with the findings that this is consistent with Lehi City's Development Code. The proposed concept does conform to the goals and policies of the general plan, and please include all DRC comments. I believe there were 10.
Would you add to that a recommendation that the developer continue to engage with the neighbors?
Love it. Love it. Of course, not necessarily something we can hold.
Nope, that's
them
why it's
to.
recommendation.
Love it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. You sure are.
But
Apologize.
Gentlemen, I encourage you, please keep eyes on the notices. This will hit the next stage of a real, far more solid development plan, and there's more teeth to be sunk into at that point. And we want to keep an eye on how this all develops as well. Yes.
3.5.
Item 3.5 is public hearing and recommendation of Lawrence Snow's request for review of a zone change on 0.66 acres located at 151 East, 1450 North, changing the zoning from TH5 to R1 Flex. This request is consistent with the general plan designation of low-density residential. The applicant wants to demolish the existing home and build a new one. But to do so, they need the zone change to get the building permit. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Please come forward if you have anything else to add. You're not? Thank you. All right. This is a public hearing. This time we'll open the public hearing for anybody who would like to address item 3.5. Seeing none, and this one also did not have any comments. So we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
It dots all the I's, crosses all the T's, and is in line with the general plan. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Great. Item 3. If I may.
You may.
Item 3.5, Lawrence Snow's request for review of a zone change on 0.66 acres at 151 East, 1450 North, changing the zone from TH5 to R1 Flex. I move that we give a positive recommendation with the findings that everything meets code. This is consistent with the general plan. Yeah, DRC comments included.
Second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 3.6.
Love items like that.
When's that going forward? Just so we can give the applicant some clarification.
That item would go to City Council. City Council does not have another meeting until March 10th.
Really? So March 10th.
March 10th.
Spring break for City Council?
Several of them are going to be at a conference
24th.
during normally their second meeting this month, so they canceled. Yeah,
I'm just
cancel.
Okay. I did hear they had some funky scheduling issues this year around.
Yeah.
Some difficulty on calendaring. Okay.
All right, let's keep this rolling.
Let's do it.
3.6 is public hearing and consideration of Kairos Land Development's request for approval of the Belmont Flex Suites concept plan, a non-residential development located at 1552 North Boston Street with an exception for building setbacks. The office warehouse use is a permitted use in this zone, and the exception request is to the max setback requirement of 50 feet in the design standards. And the request is due to the need for the modular parking between the building and the street. And it's kind of a weird paradox. We do allow for the modular parking between the building and the street, but it exceeds that 50-foot setback. So, and staff is comfortable with the exception request, in case you're wondering. The applicant would like the Planning Commission to weigh in on the total number of parking stalls needed. They show, well, on this concept layout, they show 27. We actually received an updated version that's not in the packet that I believe has 34, and maybe they can talk about that if they'd like, or if you're comfortable with that. But the parking is based on the use, and there was some uncertainty over as to what type of uses they may get in this flex office warehouse, and so they were kind of locked into counting the parking in one way, but there may be they can probably talk more about concerns over that side of things with the uses they may have coming in. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Say applicant present.
Hello, Commission. It's great to meet you. My name is Dustin Carr with Kairos Real Estate. And if you don't mind, my associate Jonas here has some papers that are the updated concept plan. You can bring those up, and here's a copy for each of you. It looks very similar, and what you're looking at is the north-facing direction. The paper he hands you there is in landscape format, so effectively, if you want to rotate it 90 degrees there,
Give one to Kate.
you'll be able to see the direction of it. Yeah. So what we've done, and unfortunately this was post getting onto this meeting, but as we made these changes, it was to reduce our building square footage, unfortunately, but in order to add more parking, which is necessary. Our goal was to make it fully code compliant with the parking numbers as they are set in the code. There is one section of the parking that I want to get to, but I wanted to address that first part about the variance for the, about the setback issue being 50 feet. One of the major issues, the reason why we weren't able to meet it, we're actually at 59, is because there is a 10-foot easement for utilities there off of our property line. So I hope that that one's understandable, that we're not trying to push the building farther away. We're trying to maximize the space, and hopefully that's a very simple concern we can hurdle over together. The parking, on the other hand, though, the situation with this is that we're trying to fit a gap in the industry of what is being offered for flex and industrial space. As you're probably well aware, in that area specifically, there is a ton of industrial that's gone up all along Redwood that is generally a minimum of 4,500 square feet of space. And I, outside of my development experience, also own a small company that uses a small warehouse space, but we can't afford even to find a place that has an area that small here in this Lehi area. There pretty much is no area that has a warehouse less than about 4,000 square feet. For example, I'm renting some 800 square feet from someone else down the road and sharing a space with them, and then I have another warehouse in Spanish Fork. But I, as a small business owner, will benefit greatly when I can even purchase one of my own units or lease from my own company here after we develop this, because this fits that gap where we'll have multiple opportunities between the roughly 1,200 square feet up to about 1,800 square feet. And then additionally, one of the discussions I wanted to have was about mezzanines, being able to offer some additional storage spaces right above an office that we're looking to design. So while this is in the concept phase, of course, our goal initially is to first hit the parking numbers. As you see, we have 34 units there, 34 parking stalls now. But the code is stating that parking numbers are calculated off of gross square footage, which is the outside footprint of a building. One of the challenges with that when it comes to industrial space is that, as you can see with this being divided so many times, each of our walls are roughly around 12 inches in thickness between each of these units. So our square footage for net usable square feet is actually all that we can rent it for. Of course, when we appraise it and we go to rent these units out, they measure from the interior. And therefore, we're down to, as you see on that paper, I think it was 16,100 square feet, roughly. And so at that number, we would technically be overparked right now. So what we were hoping was that with this concept plan, if we could simply ask for, I'm not sure if you have a certain language to it, but similar to this concession to the variance, the setback, would be a concession to allow us to put in mezzanines and not have those mezzanines count against us for a parking requirement number. The mezzanines are intended to be used for simply storage or maybe an additional office space above the original office that we intend on putting in some of these units. We don't intend on putting mezzanines in every one of them, and we definitely don't intend on them taking more than maybe a third of the space at the most. Now, I know that that was an issue that wasn't planned for in discussion tonight, so I appreciate you allowing me to speak on that tonight, and I'll pause there.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Not yet.
Well, so as this is a concept plan, how,
Yes, sir.
conceptually speaking, how high do you think this building's going to be?
I believe it's only 20 feet tall.
20 feet?
Yep.
Okay, I think you're off the hook for the moment.
Oh, great. Well, you made that too easy on me. But
Oh, we'll try.
We'll come up with something better.
Don't challenge us. There we go.
thank you.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the public that would like to address item 3.6, this is your time. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
I would love to hear if Gary or anyone else in the crew has thoughts as pertaining to parking.
That's probably a better question for Kim, maybe.
Well, never mind then. Gary,
My
You
opinion
also
would
are.
conflict.
Kim,
Yeah, I don't think what they're asking for is unreasonable by any means. And this is, some of the uses we have, I feel a little bit more dialed in. This one, we don't know what's going to be in these units. It's hard, so we just have this kind of a catch-all, you know, if it's vague or we don't really know what else to qualify or put it under, that's what we're counting as the parking requirement. So I don't think it's unreasonable at all to go based on the actual square footage, even though our code says gross. And the mezzanines, yeah, they probably wouldn't have a significant impact. I think a lot of this becomes self-regulating. If somebody tries to rent a suite and there's no parking, they just, I don't know, they probably wouldn't want to stay
they
there
show
for
up,
very
they
long.
see that it's already pretty heavily
Yeah.
parked. They know they need a lot of parking. They're going to look elsewhere.
So I think for the size of the building, this isn't out of character of what we've seen on other buildings. I mean, it's, and especially where they, in this newest concept, they have additional parking up on that north end. And this, if it were, I don't think you'd get spillover. There is a pedestrian connection to the neighborhood to the east, but you know, if somebody was going to park on the street, they'd probably park out on Boston Street. So, and Boston Street is wide enough for some on-street parking. So, even though we can't count that, they have quite a bit of frontage there. So, anyways, to make a long story short, I don't have any major issues, but it's your discretion. So,
You know, I didn't see any.
yeah,
I'm not seeing it. I want to make sure I don't have a blind spot.
yeah,
That's why I asked.
No, that's great.
I just, sorry I bothered to ask Gary. I was clearly erroneous.
He knows them.
It's because I hold you in high esteem, sir.
The residential condos to the east, 1630, does not punch through, correct? It's a dead
the
end?
road doesn't, but
Does not?
there is a pedestrian connection just on the south side of the auto body shop. There is a
Right there.
pedestrian only. Yeah.
Remember talking that one through.
Yeah.
And then also this concept and the concept that we've been shown on screen, there's no rear access for trucks, right? Or is there? May, please.
That's correct. So generally speaking, the best use for a truck to come in would be to effectively do a hammerhead turnaround, similar to what a fire truck would do. But that's why with these spaces, they're small enough that the amount of truck usage coming in and out of them is going to be rare, if at all.
I often look at, your garbage bins placements. I mean, I appreciate that you've kind of put them on ends there. Still requires a turnaround for those big trucks, which can be challenging. So just something to think through. I know this is concept, just want that to be well on your radar. And yeah, I mean, as far as the mezzanines are concerned, I think I agree with Cam that I don't believe it's a overly consequential piece to this. But
I think this clears the concept, Mark.
Yeah.
We can get a little more nitty gritty when there's more details worth it, but it's worth moving forward. I'm not worried about what rights that invests at this. There'll be small things to tweak undoubtedly, but it's a concept. I think it's a sound concept. That's my take.
The one other question I had for staff is setbacks to the residential, actually. So we've got obviously they're conceptually putting a 12-foot, and then you also have a road across the street. Does that count as setback? Because it's not structure or it's not property line? Again, directly to the east.
Yeah, so that east, the reason they have that 12-foot, that would be their minimum landscape buffer. And it's probably good you asked how high the building would be. That's actually one of our DRC comments. If they can keep it at 20 feet, that 12 feet would be the bare minimum. If it goes over, then they're gonna have to shrink their footprint a little bit. So for every foot over 20 feet, you would increase your buffer by that same amount of space, so. But yeah, so they'll have to landscape it. The fencing's already in. There's an existing 6-foot non-obscuring fence. So yeah, that back area, they really couldn't use it for drive or anything like that because it's required for the buffer.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we know if there is the pedestrian access to that's already there?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know if people are? I mean, I don't know how we'd know this, but if people are using that street, that residential street, to park and then sneaking through?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather park on Boston Street because that's much more of a.
Yeah, I don't think we've, seen anything like that. But right now, where this is vacant, and then the other use right now is auto body shop. You do have the swim school and things, but those are up quite a bit farther. And then you have a landscape company. So I don't think we'd really see a big demand for people to.
Because we don't know what's going in there. So let's say
It could be a donut shop or
CrossFit or something.
Or an MLM, right? And they're having their nightly meetings and they're parking all over the place. I would hate to have the residents come back later and go, "Hey, why was this approved?" But I am also not a big fan of huge parking lots.
Right. If we can limit.
So I don't find this a problem. I just want to address the fact that, hey, maybe if somebody crazy comes in there and they have, nightly meetings of 1,000 people, it doesn't sound like there's enough space.
I don't think there's space for a 1,000-person meeting there.
I hate to hyperbole, but maybe I am.
And I'm going to look and see. I'm trying to remember if that might actually be a private street.
I was going to ask, is 4230 a private street?
It is. It's common areas. So worst case, they could just put no parking and tow people if they.
There is a lot of parking even in the image. That's already happening on the street, right?
Yeah.
Is there? I saw one car.
Oh, it looks like there's a whole line of them.
I was going to the Google view on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Yeah, probably some of the residents.
Undoubtedly.
Residents,
yeah, who wouldn't? I mean.
Yeah, they could say, resident parking only for the exchange and tow them if it got bad.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Did the ASD have a property on that side of the street, or is it on the other side?
The
1500
school.
North. Yeah.
Did you say ASD?
I don't know if it's there right now, but do they own property around here?
The school district's property is a little bit farther east. It's over by the fire station.
Okay.
They own a pretty big piece that's, big enough for either a junior high or maybe even a high school. But that's right across the street from the new fire station out there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant or each other?
I'm ready to make a motion.
yeah, I think we beat this to the ground. Please.
You did it.
I asked one question and all of a sudden you're jumping all over it.
Keep it down, would you?
We're at 3.6, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 3.6, public hearing and consideration of Kairos Land Development's request for approval of the Belmont Flex Suites concept plan, a non-residential development located at 1552 North Boston Street, with an exception for building setbacks. I move that we approve with the exceptions and with the findings that the proposed concept is consistent with the Lehi City Development Code, and the proposed concept does conform to the goals and policies of the general plan. Please include all DRC comments.
Would you be okay if you put something in there about using the net square footage of the building instead of the gross square footage?
Sure. Thank
For
you.
the parking?
Parking tabulation. Include net square footage instead of gross.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 3.7.
See you later. Yep.
Item 3.7 is public hearing and consideration of Daryl Hodgson's request for approval of a flag lot located at 645 West, 2100 North in the RA1 zone. This flag lot was actually previously approved in 2019, but the approval expired over the last several years. So they're back with the same plans for that. Both lots meet the requirements for the RA1 zone. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present?
Daryl Hodgson. I don't really have anything to add. I mean, it was previously approved. We haven't changed the plan. We've lived here for about 8.5 years, and life just got in the way, and I didn't get around to getting it subdivided. But we're ready to, build a new house, and so hopefully this will not be, be an easy approval.
All right.
If you have any questions,
Any questions for the applicant?
No.
I think you're pretty safe tonight.
all right, thanks.
This is a public hearing. Is anybody that would like to speak to item 3.7? We'll open the public hearing now. Seeing none. This one did have a comment, right? Or was it
3.8.
3.8? Okay, 3.7, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
Can I make a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Please? Okay, on item 3.7, public hearing and consideration of Daryl Hodgson's request for approval of a flag lot located at 645 West, 2100 North in the RA-1 residential agricultural zone. I move that we approve the flag lot, the findings that it meets the requirements for a flag lot. It's not going to be close to existing homes. It'll be located and conducted in a manner in compliance with the goals and policy of Lehi City, and please include all DRC comments.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well, there we go.
3.8.
Item 3.8 is public hearing and consideration of Symphony Homes' request for preliminary subdivision approval of Heritage Meadows, a 13-lot residential development located at 1250 West, 800 North. All 13 lots meet the R122 standard requirements. The applicant is considering, there's a DRC comment that talks about a trail connection and a bridge, but that change would require updated plans, which you're not seeing tonight. But the applicant, as they're considering that, still wanted to get this plan set approved just to be able to weigh both options. So, see if this will come back. You may have noticed the zoning on the property still looks like it's not updated, but we actually recently recorded the zone change ordinance. So the zoning's right for this property as well with that R122 zone. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? I guess I did have a question about that public well, I'll bring it up after we read the public comment. But any questions? No. The applicant present.
Really? Oh. It never came back. Oh. This might not be good.
Good evening. I'm Russ Wilson with Symphony Homes, and I don't know if I have much to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think we're pretty easy right now.
Yeah,
Let's ask the connection, the bridge.
Gosh.
Let's address that right now, I guess.
Do you want me to do the? Oh,
Yeah, let's wait till after it comes up in public comment.
Okay.
All right.
And then
All right.
we'll talk to you after.
We don't have
just want you to
questions,
get a
but we're
couple
going
steps
to.
in.
Yeah.
Just know it's
We
coming.
might know what they are.
Yeah.
Get it in to the record. So, this is a public hearing. If anybody is here to speak to item 3.8, we will open the public hearing now.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lutz. I'm a neighbor in just the neighborhood to the west of the development. I found out about a month ago, I guess the end of December, that they were going to do the development, which is exciting. More neighbors is great. I guess not everyone feels that way.
You've been to our meetings before.
Just this one. But so we use the Waste Ditch Trail that's just to the south of there a lot. We go down to Sage Vista. Our neighborhood has a bridge connection. I reached out to the city to ask if that was going to be required for this, and they said that it was not. It's not part of the general plan. But I've talked to Mike West and a couple of the council members, and they're all in support of the bridge. I made a petition from my neighborhood, got 16 responses, clarified that in exchange for the bridge, probably they would want to see like an incentive of 1 or 2 lots. And 2 people said no, they didn't want that, but 14 people said yes. The people that said no still said that they wanted a bridge. The 14 that said yes did so knowing that there would be a bridge. Their comments were that increase safety, increase access to the trails. It's great. They want more trails in Lehi. When I saw the plans, I was kind of surprised that they're all more than half-acre lots. My neighborhood has a lot of lots that are 1/3 of an acre. I don't think it'd be crazy to let the developer have smaller lots, increase the number of lots and decrease the lot size. I think it'd be in the same vein as what the neighborhoods are like right now, and the trail would be really great. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else here that would like to speak to this? Let's read that comment for the record. Jacob, if you would.
The good thing is I can still read, even if you guys can't right now. So it says, and it's from Kara Traveler. I'm supporting this development under the condition the city has the developer put in a bridge over the waste ditch to the trail from the new neighborhood. This will be beneficial for the neighbors in the new development as well as those living in the area already. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no more comment, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
Sorry, I just have to note. I appreciate Mr. Youth's comment. I don't know if ever, to my memory, the years I've been on this commission, a resident has actually suggested increased density for an amenity. Like, I'm picking my jaw up and putting it back on my face. It's a great comment. It's just that
It's never happened.
it's never. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
Okay. All right.
No,
I'm
I
over the shock.
do think it's interesting. The comment was that they would likely ask for density in lieu, which is an option, not the only option, but it is an option that the city often uses in that case. But that is, just want to make sure you understand that's not the only option the city has to negotiate that connection. But I know that you had a comment or question for the applicant.
Just regarding that bridge and actually looking at the property, would there be a connection to the church that's right there too?
No, likely not to the church. It is a little unusual, I have to say. When the church was built, they stubbed a sidewalk in to this property, and we have talked to the church, and they said, no, we don't have any plans to connect or open up the existing fence that is along that boundary line. So
But that is a lovely sidewalk that they put in.
It's a
there.
great sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah,
my
you
my
just
guess is that
don't-
that'll change, but probably not till later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, okay.
So if that does change later, after you put the homes in, that will just go into somebody's backyard and then they become the thoroughfare
No,
for
because
the neighborhood?
the right-of-way will be adjacent to the church, so.
Oh.
I mean, it would
That-
make sense to
I
connect
see.
sidewalks, but
Yep, okay.
yeah, not a requirement.
Yep.
Yeah.
The bridge.
We don't make them connect the sidewalk in our code?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because their right-of-way will literally butt up against the churches, and their sidewalk will be integral, if I'm remembering right, or at least that's the direction you're heading for your preliminary. So I don't know how they'd have to keep the fence in place. There is an existing fence, but literally their sidewalk would butt up against the little stub out for the church. So I guess to answer your question, do we require it? We do require connectivity between trails and things like that, but where it's a church site, I don't think it would require I don't think it would be required. I think at the time the church came in, we suggested that they look at that because we had a pretty good feel that there would be a road right here next door. And at the time, this was 5 years ago when that was built.
I mean, it would be a shame to make people walk the church.
Yeah, yeah.
And to give them that option,
You mean
that's
to
terrible.
force them to drive?
Yeah. You would think it would be a wise word, a word of wisdom to walk to church. Right?
In my experience, it is a part of the faith to drive,
This
regardless of how
Yeah, that's
close
true.
it is.
This
Yeah.
reminds me of the Loch Lomond neighborhood that I think is Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
And then our neighborhood that abuts it. They don't align, and so there's this
Yeah.
weird jog in the sidewalk right where they come together. Like they didn't plan for them to meet, and so you've got a sidewalk here and a sidewalk here, and then right there's one little quick. It's stupid. It's really dumb.
This looks.
But anyway,
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I probably take care of stupid. About the bridge, you guys are thinking about it.
We are, yeah. This was something that was brought up at the recent DRC, so we are looking into the feasibility of it. The city staff has been helpful with helping us gather bids. There's still some work to do as far as, not only the bids for the bridge, but the installation, and then also the pedestrian trail and the landscaping and other things. So we're looking at it. We're open to taking a look at it, and we'll work with staff to find if that's something that can be implemented.
That'd be great, 'cause I do think that access to trails, it does make those homes more enticing. People like that.
it's
Oh,
a
thank
huge
you.
amenity for sure.
Yeah, thank you for looking.
I will say I do hate the idea of going under half-acre lots. Right. I won't necessarily fully agree with the comment that came in from the public there, but this scenario where it does provide an amenity of trail access, I think it's absolutely worth a discussion to see if it makes sense or it could happen, because that trail access is valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
Just a reminder again, because this is an administrative item and it does meet the code.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta do it.
Gotta do it. Is that a start of a motion?
I was hoping you would encourage me. Item 3.8, public hearing consideration of Symphony Homes' request for preliminary subdivision approval of Heritage Meadows, a 13-lot residential development located at 1250 West, 800 North. With the motion being that we approve the proposed preliminary subdivision with the findings that it does meet the requirements of Lehi City's Development Code in regards to subdivision approvals, and please include all DRC comments, and will also include the recommendation that they strongly consider putting a bridge connection to the trail.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item 3.9.
Okay. So item 3.9 is public hearing and recommendation of Lehi City's request for review of a zone change on 0.91 acres located at 498 North, 900 East, changing the zoning from R1 Flex to R18. Yeah, the motive for this zone change is to ensure compliance with zoning requirements, and that's partially why you'll see the city as the applicant on this one. The subdivision met the lot size requirements for both the R18 and R1 Flex zone. There was just an issue with the units per acre allowance, and there's been a change in the development code. I think it's been the last 6 to 9 months where they would be allowed to have this R18 zone. So you've already seen, I believe, a preliminary subdivision on this, as well as the previous zone change. So anyways, that's some of the backstory on this. It's really just to ensure compliance with the zoning allowances. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions?
Yes. I have a question. So is this the city's bringing the zone
City,
change
yeah,
forward?
we decided to not
Is there a
charge.
developer?
No, so, well, the applicant, the Atkinsons, have their subdivision approved. They came in for the final subdivision application, and we noticed the discrepancy. And so we decided as the city just to cover the process of moving the zone change forward.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we felt like we should have probably flagged that earlier, but it just got overlooked. Their density, so all the lot sizes, in fact, the lots are actually quite large. They're well above the 8,000 square foot minimum. But in the R1 Flex, it says there's a maximum density of 3.25 units per acre. Their density is 3.3 units per acre. That if we go to the R18, that density cap doesn't apply. It just has the 8,000 square foot minimum lot size. And I think there's one of them is 9,000, the other one's 12,000, the other one's like 18,000. So it's totally compatible with R1. It's just so close to that density on the R1 Flex, but we want it to be fully in compliance. So that's where we voluntarily said, look, we probably should have flagged that earlier. So,
All right, so the developer builder's already,
They're aware of this.
and they've
Yeah.
already presented their plan and it's been
Mhm.
approved. And
yeah, I think you saw the preliminary plat last November.
Yeah, and
Last
they just
October.
applied for the final subdivision, and they have to come back to DRC to resolve some comments. So
Yeah.
this really won't slow them down.
This would be a cul-de-sac, right?
It's a
we
3-lot
could-
subdivision.
yeah,
I
we
can't show it, unfortunately.
Oh, they're
but
actually
Oh.
able to see on the TV.
I can see again. Yes.
We could probably just pull the packet up from.
Yeah.
There's an existing home. If you remember, the existing home sits really close out to, I think it's 900 North.
When did this go? See, it went to DRC not too long ago.
Just
Not yesterday.
2 weeks ago.
If
Yeah.
you'd like to see it, we can pull it up.
yeah, and
If you just zoom in on the map, I could kind of show them.
So I'll need to find
well,
it.
I know Bo's over there chomping at the bit because he's.
I'm not going to say it.
Administrative.
But it's. I mean,
This is legislative.
yeah. Oh, dang.
Atkins, and is it this one? I don't think it's in this one either. Oh, wait, there it is. Subdivision. The nice thing is the zoning to the north is also R18, so it's consistent with that as well. So there's the zone change, or the subdivision layout.
So yeah, you have one lot with the existing home, a new lot to the south, and then all of the east portion of the property is one big 18,000 square foot lot. So, yeah, if you go down to the table, and they did their density calculations, and they're just barely over the. But we didn't want to overlook that. We don't want to record a plat that is obviously out of compliance based on their tabulations. So.
Any other questions for staff?
I'll make a motion if we're ready.
We need to have a public hearing
Oh.
real quick.
Sure.
Sorry, but I would love to hear that.
Keep working.
This is a public hearing. We'd like to open the public hearing for item 3.9 at this time. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
To make a motion. Item 3.9, public hearing and recommendation of Lehi City's request for review of a zone change on .91 acres located at 498 North, 900 East, changing the zone from R1 Flex residential to R18 residential. I move that we recommend approval.
Or could you do that?
And with the findings that the proposed zone is consistent with the LDR general plan designation. The intent of the previous zone change and subdivision were for 3 lots. This zone change will allow for the same number of lots and is now in compliance. And that is my motion.
Second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 3.10.
Item 3.10 is public hearing and recommendation of Lehi City's request for a development code amendment to Chapter 5, Table of Uses, non-residential, and Chapter 39 to add automobile accessories and installation. This would add separate use in the definitions and table, obviously. And there's, I guess, a couple reasons for why you're seeing this. It's to provide opportunities for smaller, less impactful auto businesses in non-residential zones. There was a couple of items that kind of made their way to the city council that required development agreements over the last few months, definitely, that kind of fell under this umbrella where they got lumped in with auto service and repair, more impactful kind of services versus really minor things like window tinting and decals and things like that, wraps. So anyways, that was kind of part of the rationale for why you're seeing this and why it's allowed in most of the non-residential zones. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? I love seeing a change to code that potentially allows for less bureaucracy. So, any comments? 3.10. This is a public hearing. Oh, you are the applicant.
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything else?
You'll probably see some more code amendments in the next little bit. It's kind of some direction we've been getting from the city council is to work on updating some of these things to help smaller businesses. So,
cool.
Yep.
This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing for item 3.10 at this time. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
I'm ready to pass a motion. Item 3.10, public hearing recommendation of Lehi City's request for a development code amendment to Chapter 5, Table of Uses, non-residential, and Chapter 39 to add automobile accessories and installation. The motion being that we recommend approval for the proposed amendment to Lehi City's development code with the findings that the amendment is in conformance with the purposes, intent, and provisions of the general plan in its various elements. And I don't believe there were any DRC comments. There were not. That'll be it.
Second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to city business.
Oh yeah, you need this.
Thanks for coming, Cody.
Oh, not the phone. Probably the. Kim's got a presentation he's pulling up for the bylaws. I mean,
Is it Jeopardy again?
it's classic Jeopardy.
You could choose your own adventure. We could do,
Oh.
Jeopardy or PowerPoints.
Choose your own adventure.
I wish our alternates were here.
I know. I thought about that. Yeah, that was one of the reasons we postponed it. But CMI, yeah.
I was going to say Planning Commission in a couple weeks. It's a little bit shorter than tonight's. I think it's 5 or 6 items. And then the work session in March, we're going over, is it the Open Meetings Act and a couple of other, like DRC application process. And
When is it that we can have all the general plan amendments? What month is that?
that would be now, but we have not seen any yet.
Interesting.
Usually they come in at the end of the month. So March would be where you get to have
All right.
Yeah.
adventures.
So
Yeah.
the window's still open.
Yeah.
February is the window.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's just the application window,
Yeah.
not the.
Yeah.
Not the
Okay,
or
got it.
planning commission window.
Yeah, it'd probably be March, end of March before you saw them. Okay, bylaws. This is exciting stuff. This is important stuff. Most of you are now, I would say you're all seasoned, so I don't know if we need to, I'm gonna go through just some basic summary. It's always a struggle of, do we sit and read through the entire bylaws? I've tried to just put all of the information in a very summarized format, and we can run through it. I do have the Jeopardy game. Maybe we do a quick refresher, and then you could play a few rounds.
I think it's okay.
Okay.
I mean, unless anybody really.
You're
really
having
wants
PTSD
to.
from.
I just remember I got a few wrong, though. I think we're right.
Oh,
last time.
I did. I updated the questions, so if you want.
Well, that's all right.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Okay. All right. So I think the actual bylaws are, 10 or 12 pages long. It starts out with, there's different articles. This Article 1 is just basically saying you are governed by Utah state statutes. You're also governed by Lehi City's ordinances and the Development Code. So those are kind of your operating laws that are governing all of the
And the
activity.
state statutes supersede if there's conflict, right, with city ordinance?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
State
Yeah.
statute supersedes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They trump. Let's see, and then you are also governed by these bylaws that we're going to review. And then your expectation, it actually says in the bylaws that you should review these periodically, which is why we're doing this now, and also stay familiar with any laws or updates to our code or to the state. They call it LUDMA, Land Use Development Management Act. That's where all of the state regulation, most of the, not all, there are some others that apply, but that's where most of them are at. Okay, so general provisions. All members have equal rights and duties, so there's not like senior members and, there's alternates, but if they fill in as a regular member, they have all the same rights as any other member. There is an expectation of freedom of discussion, so as things come up, we don't ever want anybody to feel like we don't want to hear what they have to say.
Ken, I apologize for our comment earlier.
There you go.
Where you felt silenced by us. I apologize.
You're shamed to say.
Shame for talking.
Yeah. When it comes to motions, there can only be one motion at a time. For obvious reasons, it'd be really confusing if you had multiple motions on the floor. At any point, if somebody's like, now what is the motion? You have the right to know, and they can restate the motion. Actions are only at properly noticed meetings with a quorum, and maybe I'll just ask, that'll be your quiz for tonight. How many members is a quorum? 3, yep. So we can technically, if 2 of you are missing and we don't have any alternates, you could still conduct business. It'd just have to be a unanimous vote. All actions must be lawful for obvious reasons. The bylaws must be publicly available, and so we have them on our website. If you ever Google Lehi City Planning Commission, it'll take you to your landing page, and the bylaws are right there. And then your office, it states, is in City Hall. It's the Planning Division's office. So boring stuff. Let's see, Article 2.
We have office space upstairs. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I heard.
Good to know.
You're sitting in your office right now. This is your temporary office.
I think him is not inviting us to come work here during the day. That's not what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I feel rejected.
It's not like hotel.
Feeling rejected is not prohibited. No. Okay. Appointments and resignations are governed by Utah Code and city ordinances. We do have in our municipal code, it outlines, that's actually where it talks about how many alternates and the commission consisting of 5 members, that type of thing. You are expected to attend regularly. If you go 3 consecutive unexcused, I think we've clarified that, absences, or 3 of 7 absences could be grounds for removal. We just want to make sure you're staying engaged. And I think you're all very good at, if you're not going to be here, you'll send an email to Sherry, Noreen, either one of those, just so that they know. And then the ideal is if you know you're not going to be here, let us know as early as possible. And now, if you're sick, obviously that day you're like, I'm not going to make it. We'll adjust. But the ideal is if we know, at least a week in advance, we can let one of the alternates know so that we can make sure that they can attend.
I kind of like the cadence that's been standardized, where Noreen sends out that email and people are often replying, "Oh, I'm not going to be there this meeting," or because everybody's on that email, right? Again, that's not necessarily have to, but I like that we've been doing that.
But if your family's planned a vacation or you have a work conference or whatever, just let us know at the earliest point, and then we'll flag it and make sure we have. It is nice to have 5 members for all items. The mayor notifies the council of vacancies, which we had recently. The mayor appoints replacement with council consent. So, okay, conduct of you as the commission members. You can't represent the applicant. Darn it, I know you guys would all love to do that. If you have a conflict, you need to recuse yourself, and that would be if there's financial or personal interest. And if there's ever any question, just ask legal, and they can give you some advice. And then if you are going to recuse yourself, you would announce that, and then I think our guidance would be to just leave the room so that you can't have any there's no chance or inference that you've influenced the commission. You have to comply with Utah ethics laws, and we're going to cover the Open Meetings Act at our work session next month. You can't express any bias or prejudgment before a meeting. You can't express opinions or discuss cases with outside parties. The exception to that is if you have questions, you just need more information. You can, technically by the bylaws, you can actually talk to each other or to staff, but to talk to each other, that might be difficult without expressing bias or prejudice. But if you think you can do that, according to the bylaws, that's fair game. But yeah, I know, especially the newer commissioners, but even any of you, if you ever have a question like what's going on, or maybe you catch an error in the staff report before the meeting, call us up. We're always...
Those never happen.
Yeah. We are your staff. So, okay, officers' duties, staff duties. Chair and vice chair elected annually. We all know about that because we just did it. It's a 1-year term, 2 consecutive terms, so which is what Commissioner Jackson served. If the chair vacates, whether that's temporarily, if they're not here at a meeting, or if they resign, the vice chair would take over as the chair. The chair presides over meetings, maintains order and decorum, which, great job. I know we had, it's always hard when they start talking at the back of the room. But that's exactly what the chair's job is just to keep everything reined up here so that you don't have sidebar discussions and everything. And then, recognize speakers. You also manage the agenda flow. If there's any procedures or motions, you're the one that tries to help manage all that. You can delegate duties.
Could we say you must clear your throat before you give a motion?
I guess you could.
Loudly into the mic. Loudly into the mic. Just wondering if that was within the purview there.
We could put that in the bylaws. Technically, you can appoint committees. We haven't done that for a long time, but just so you know, that's an option. You can assign site inspections.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we need a pizza committee or something. The secretary is appointed by the mayor, which right now we have Kate, and then others that help her if she's absent. So, and she does all the heavy lifting, the minutes.
I have a question, if I may.
Yeah.
So tonight, like when this was brought forward, right? Obviously, it was turned in to Kate
Yeah.
for the record, but this was not noticed, right? And this is what we were really looking at tonight, right? Because it was different than what was noticed.
Yeah.
Does that bring us out of compliance with state law?
I think where it was a concept plan, this is my opinion, I think it was fair game, but I'll let
If
Nate.
only there were a lawyer.
Yeah, that's why
I
Nate's
always,
here.
because those do happen from time to time, right? And it
Yeah.
does, and it's almost always concept, usually.
Yeah.
It's not usually site plan or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I will check with Craig.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do often wonder that, like,
Yeah.
technically this was not noticed, but this is what we're seeing now, and this
Yeah.
is what we're really voting on.
I feel like if
Right.
it was, because that one tonight had the exception, right? And the two concepts didn't really change the exception request, but if it changed the exception request, I feel like we'd probably have to take it back to
Renotice.
DRC and renotice and restart.
And if you're ever uncomfortable, like if this was a total departure from the other concept, and you're like, wait a minute, we need more time to think through this, you can always just say, sorry, this is new information. We'll table you if you want to come back to give us time to look at it. So, anyways.
Sorry.
No, great. That's the purpose of the discussion here. Let's see. So we covered all those. Application required. These are pretty obvious. Yeah, you can't hear anything without an official application. It's our job to make sure it's complete. I know sometimes there's questions on how, if we're missing. We're not perfect. So if we are missing something and you flag that, again, we could table it, have it go back to DRC, whatever we need to do. Okay, meetings and hearings, second, fourth, there are regular meetings, work sessions. These are all very, special meetings you could call. All meetings are open to the public. The city council can hold a closed session, but you can't, so. And then, just try to avoid interruptions during the public hearings or during hearings. We try to always direct everything to the chair so that individual commissioners aren't engaging with the applicant. And I think we're, again, I
think we do a pretty good job
I
of
think we're good, yeah.
I think we do. I think the public does not.
So like when he's talking directly here, how do you want me to handle that? Just say.
That's a good point, yeah.
Honestly, for brevity, I would like you to not answer.
Okay. I agree. Should I just say,
But I want them to know we will get to it. But
Maybe we just say
because sometimes it drags on, and I don't think you give bad answers. That's not what I'm saying. It's just for brevity. I'd rather them give their piece and then we address them like we're supposed to.
Just say we'll address that after public comments.
Sure. And I'll try to be better at jumping in on that.
Yeah, so either you could jump in and say, hey, you need to keep all comments, which you did at one point, but or if they're looking at us, we could just say that we need to keep all comments. We could say the same thing, so.
I almost wondered, because I think tonight it was a case of the public not knowing Robert's Rules of Order. So maybe even starting with that and just reminding people what that is and what that looks like. Because as soon as he understood that, he said, nope, I'm done. And then he went back because he wanted his answers.
Sure.
So maybe most of the time you get the full audience here at the beginning. So maybe once at the beginning, just say, hey, for the public hearings, we'd like to remind everyone, if you want, if you feel it's necessary. And you can use the shot clock. That's that last, which is...
But there's no prescribed limit, right?
You could say 2 minutes. If you have a huge crowd, you could say 3, you could say 5. It's really kind
If we have a huge crowd, we want to go lower.
Not
higher.
Right, yeah. Use the 2-minute shot clock.
We haven't had real big crowds, but that first meeting of the year, we did have a couple of comments that just kept going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And obviously we want to hear and we want to be respectful of their time, but I had a hard time jumping in to try to curtail those.
Yeah, and it's almost like if you haven't done it on the first one or...
then you... Yeah.
It's hard to rein it back in. So maybe that's part of what, before the meeting starts, if we... And a lot of times you'll know, like, there's 30 online comments or whatever. So that could be a cue. Okay, we better just start out with the clock. Okay, Robert's rules may be used as a reference. It's not like formal, but we use them as a reference or a guide. If we do go on field trips, which we haven't, we probably should.
We should. I enjoy the field trips.
The one I keep thinking you guys would probably really enjoy is the sanctuary building.
Yeah.
And when they are ready for occupancy, before they open, we should take you through so you can see some of the units.
That will be this year, won't it?
Yeah.
Can we get a tour of the new Civic Center?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Should we do that? I wonder if before the work session in March, it only takes 15 or 20 minutes. We could walk you through that, re-adjourn here. Does that sound?
I would like to do that. You guys
Help me
okay with
remember,
that?
Jacob? Okay. Meetings end by 10:30 unless we extend them. Quorum is 3 votes. Tie votes are generally treated as a denial if it's
Fine,
2-2.
generally. Well, that's interesting word there.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Are they treated as denial, or are they generally treated as
So I reread the bylaws on this. If you have a tie vote, the applicant can actually ask that it be continued to the next agenda.
To our next agenda?
Yep.
Oh.
So if he feels like, I don't want to end at a tie, if they don't and it just ends at a tie, then it's considered denial. But yeah, they have the right to, it's kind of a weird clause.
Well, we should probably remember to tell that because the applicant's not going to know that.
Yeah. So I'll make a mental note, and you all, that's why
Ah.
we're doing this training, so that you can remember. It doesn't happen very often. Usually we have a
They
full,
have 5.
that's why we have the alternates, right? So, but yeah, if it ever does come up, I'll try to remember.
Yeah,
We'll all
no,
try to
we'll
remember.
all.
We'll try to remember too.
So yeah, that's, let's see, applicant may request continuance. I think that's related to that tie vote.
Look at that. Even old dogs can learn new tricks.
So,
Yeah.
but I want to go back to that word generally again. If we do conclude in a tie vote, they don't ask for a continuation. It is a denial.
It is a
it's
denial.
not maybe a denial, right? It is a denial.
Yeah, let me find. Okay, so tie votes. If a motion before the commission receives an equal number of votes and a subsequent motion on this matter is either not made or cannot achieve a majority vote, the matter before the commission shall be recommended for denial, or if it's a final action, it would just be denial. Oh, let's see. On an item that receives its final decision at the city council and on an item that receives final decision at the planning commission, the applicant, I guess that's where they
can request.
That's where they
It's
can.
only if it ends here.
Yeah, it's probably good we reviewed that. So we can pull this up if it ever comes up. We can
Right,
just,
so a tie vote that ends with us,
then they can request.
But a tie vote that goes to city council,
Council's
it
just-
just goes as a denial.
Yeah.
Which I think
Or
a lot
a
of
negative
times-
recommendation.
Then they
That's
have
happened,
another
yeah.
shot. Yeah.
I think that's happened before where, the applicant's like, I just want it to move forward.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, they do care about your opinion, but
Yeah.
they don't really.
Okay, we're on 10 of 14. We're moving. Let's keep going.
Are we going to shut down again? Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay, so we covered those. Hearing procedures, and this is just basically outlining what we've just been doing all night. The chair introduces the item, we do our presentation, the applicant has a chance to do their presentation. Public hearing is opened, we receive the comments, close that, and then we do always allow the applicant to respond, which I know sometimes that upsets the public because they're like, well, wait, you already had his chance. When do we get a second chance? But it's like, well, no, it's their vested right. It's their
Need
application.
to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have some discussion and questions, the motion and the vote. Same thing, you can impose time limits during the hearing. You can reopen if needed, which we did. We've done that on occasion. If we think there's new information, there's no reason not to do that. Yeah.
Like 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you.
Yeah. And then, if you just feel like there's so much public input that it's overwhelming you, the chair can recommend that the commission just table the item. Findings and decisions. So you can take immediate action, you can defer to a future meeting. All decisions by motion have to be a voice vote. And if you ever have a question, you can do the roll call. I think Commissioner Jackson and you've both done that. What was the vote? Like if it's a 3-2 or whatever, you can do a roll call.
I try to look at Kate
Yeah.
when we vote.
Just
I
to
don't
make
always
sure.
get that, but I try to, if there is variation, right?
Yeah. And then the decision becomes final when the minutes are approved.
Does that mean we could change our mind until then?
Not necessarily, unless the minutes are inaccurate. Like but you couldn't go back and say, actually, I wanted to vote this way. But if there's,
Who approves the minutes? Like, how long does it?
We do. Like we do at the beginning.
We do.
November.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
no, you're good. Yeah. So
That
yeah.
just delights me, Nicole, because I know you know, like,
Yeah.
this stuff backwards and forwards. It's okay. We all have our moments.
You can never rewrite history. Although, according to the history professor, it has happened, right? Yeah.
You can't rewrite it. I simply write it.
Yeah, there you go. You decide what actually happened. Yeah. What was the Declaration
He's
of...
worked on that line before.
Yeah. Pen drop, yeah.
We just pen drop.
Okay, and then we're supposed to notify the applicant 10 days. I mean, they're usually here anyhow. I guess if they're absent, we need to notify them. Recent amendments may affect final timing. I'm trying to remember what that was regarding. Yeah,
Finality timing.
finality.
Recent amendment. Oh, is that if there's an amendment to the code? No, because they're under the code when they apply.
Findings.
If there's a
amend the bylaws
We
like last
might
year?
have, yeah,
Maybe
this,
that has to do with that.
we're gonna strike that one. I can pull up the bylaws. We're on slide 12. I'll see if I can find the reference that I pulled that from.
But they are subject to the code at application, not at time of hearing.
Yeah,
right?
they vest when they file their application. So
if they apply, like for example, if someone's applying for a general plan amendment, general plan is a terrible example, but if they're applying now, but we're not going to hear it till end of March, and at our second meeting in February, we had an amendment that made it to city council somehow and got approved. They're still under the code of when they applied.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's a really weird scenario that probably doesn't happen that often, but
But the idea stands.
yeah. Okay.
Let's see, decisions. It's in this section and it's not very long. It's got to be this last paragraph. Notice of action taken by the commission shall be given by the commission and/or planning staff to the applicant, petitioner of any party making a written request for such. Yeah. I honestly, we probably should just delete that bullet point because it doesn't make sense. Sorry. Okay, last two, and I think these are pretty quick because it just talks about amending the bylaws, which is pretty straightforward. Withdrawal, continuance, rehearing. Applicant may withdraw before the final motion. So if they think things are going south and they might have a better shot, if they just withdraw, they have that ability unless you've already started to make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion. Withdraw!
Yeah.
I kind of love to see that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Stop.
We also, when we have only 3 people here, we also try to.
Kind
We've
of
also tried to
announce.
let them know
Yeah.
we have to be unanimous.
Mhm.
Are you sure you want us to move forward?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's so important because they may not understand. They may think, well, I just need 2 out of the 3. It's only a majority of those here, but I think that's awesome. Yeah, just make them know so they know the rules. You can continue items. You can renotice, renotice may be required for tabled items unless you actually say we're tabling it to this specific meeting so that anybody here knows. But if it's tabled and there's not an exact date, then we need to renotice, and we usually do anyhow. So this is a kind of a weird provision. I don't think we've ever seen this happen, but technically an applicant, if they feel like something was totally missed or something new came up during or after the meeting, they have the ability to request a rehearing within 3 months of your decision. So But yeah, it does require substantial new evidence. Commission must vote to allow rehearing. So they'd, I guess, come here and say, hey, we have some additional information. Would you allow us? And then you'd have to vote to have a rehearing. And then they'd technically, I don't know if we've ever done that, but they would have to pay the meeting notice. Last slide. Amending or waiving bylaws. It has to be by a majority vote. You all have to agree, or at least not all, by majority to change the rules. We have to provide notice that we're going to change the bylaws 1 week in advance. So if you do decide tonight that you want to tweak anything, we'd have to renotice it for an action at another meeting. And then any changes have to be approved by city council. Waiving rules by majority vote. So this is during a meeting, you actually have the ability to waive a provision. Like you said, you could require or put a new provision in, clearing the road or whatever.
Could we waive the quorum number?
That is
like if we couldn't get 3 people here, but there's a backlog. We don't want to. There's people that really need to see these things. Could we waive the 3-person?
I think it's in the municipal code that a quorum is 3, so I would say no, because our city law would supersede that. Because it says you still have to comply with city rules or city laws. Temporary rules require unanimous vote. So yeah, we made it. That's the end. Good job. Really sad that you didn't want to play Jeopardy, but we'll save this for next year.
Motion to adjourn.
No, we need to accept. We need a motion to accept the bylaws.
Motion to accept the bylaws.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks for putting that together, Kim.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Kim, it's always, honestly, I love that there still things to learn.
Yeah.
You guys should come to these. These are really amazing.